Happy New Year, all my fellow ranters and rantees. How's everybody doing? Welcome to another episode of Bodacious Rant, the first one of 2026. I almost said 2025, but that's because we're going to be talking about 2025 movies. Hope everybody had a great New Year's. I know Bern and I even feel a little under the weather, so, we do apologize for the delay on it, but we're always going to find a way to you guys. As a great man once said, life finds a way. So, anyways, 2025, it definitely had some windows, I feel like, of points where there was, like, nothing out. And that's not non-traditional, but not normal out of movie. Like, every year there's always going to be times in the movie theater stuff that just, it's feeling very blank and just, there's really nothing out right now. I just felt like it was more noticeable this 2025. I'm probably just overthinking it, but needless to say, top 10 was actually pretty hard to choose. Going through all the movies that I watched and Bern watched this year, this last year was like, wow, we saw a lot. And there were plenty of stuff I forgot that even came out last year because it was just early in the year. That's just due to other stuff I'm not going to get into right now because, I got positive vibes for 2026. Just for those of you who are just checking this out, what Bern and I usually like to do is we'll do, I could start first, Bern will start first, but we'll do our bottom five, from 10 to 1 essentially. So we'll do our 10 to 6, pass it back and all that stuff. And we're going to talk about our favorite shows as well, our top 5 shows, and some honorable mentions of movies that just did not make it just because for one reason or another, these movies just killed it for us. Bern, shall I start off, or do you want to take the lead on your first 5, my dude?
I'll go ahead and start us off, if you don't mind.
Have at it, Bern. Of course. It's a new year, so let's try some new things. But yes, go ahead. Bottom 5, Bern, go.
Bottom 5. Okay, so for my number 10, this was kind of a little bit of a tough spot because, there are a lot of movies that you really like throughout the year, so it's like, which one gets the 10 spot? And for me, looking through the list, I feel like I had to make room for one of the blockbuster movies that came out this year, and one that I felt like really resonated with myself personally, and I felt like it resonated with a lot of people, surprisingly enough, and it felt like it was one of those victories that you just felt good about, doing well, and that is James Gunn's Superman. David Cornswet, Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, just the entire cast and people in front of and behind the camera just put together a Superman movie for the times, but I also felt like it sort of fell back on a lot of the older movies, in particular the Donner movies. It sort of like paid homage to those and had that same sort of similar innocent spirit about it, despite the bad things that happened in the movie. The Superman being the symbol of hope really resonated throughout the movie, and I felt like James Gunn did a really good job of writing that. David Cornswet did a fantastic job of acting it, and as fans of the DC genre, the DC label of comic books and entertainment, it's been a rough ride these last few years, with the exception of a few things here and there. But now that James Gunn's taken over, this was sort of the big coming out party. Despite us getting Peacemaker and the Creature Commandos and other things on TV, this was the thing that they had to get right, essentially, to start this universe off on the right foot. And I feel like they did that. So I just had to put this movie in my number 10. Like I said, it resonated with myself. Seems like it resonated with a lot of people, and it was just a great time at the movie. So Superman is at my number 10. Number 9 is A24's Friendship. For anyone who's been watching our channel, they know that I'm a big Tim Robinson fan, and him and Paul Rudd in this one just gave us a very dark cringe comedy about I think I Love You Man, but just weirder. This one was a lot of fun. It's for people who are of the taste of Tim Robinson's comedy. So this isn't going to be for everyone, but me in particular, his stuff works for me. Just get it in an A24 movie was something I never expected, and I enjoyed myself from beginning to end, despite all the times where I just was squirming in my seat of just how bad the situation was going for him. So I like this movie a lot. It's at my number 9. At number 8 is Rian Johnson's Wake Up Dead Man, the Knives Out mystery. A late entry into the year. It only came out about like a month or two ago-ish. But it really struck a chord with me, as you can see from our review. We did a review of it. If you want to get more of our opinions, check that out. But like I mentioned there, just the cinematography, the writing, the characters, all the things that came together to make this movie what it was, I thought was really, really well done. And as much as I liked the other two movies, rewatching it again over the weekend, I think it is firmly in my favorite of the Knives Out trilogy that we've gotten so far. Really, really cool. I dug this movie a lot, and it's fun to go back and rewatch it and see all the things that you missed the first time around. So if you enjoyed it the first time, I definitely say go check it out again, because it's a rewarding second watch for sure. And number seven is Zach Krager's Weapons. I really, really loved Barbarian, his first movie that came out a few years ago. So I was looking forward to what he was going to do next. And for me personally, Weapons did not disappoint. Just what a wild ride of a movie. Talk about unpredictability and having fun with the script that just keeps you guessing, and keeps the twists and turns coming with the changings of perspectives. His cinematography, and the way that he stages all these scenes, it's a ton of fun. If you guys hadn't seen it in theaters, definitely check it out on streaming, because I believe it's on there now. Really, really good time. Looking forward to, for sure, his Resident Evil movie, which should be coming out sometime in this year, or early next year. I'm not too sure about that, but that's at my number seven. And for my number six is Chloe Zhao's Hamnet. One of the few movies that's made me cry this year, so obviously that gets a little bit of a bump. But again, as we mentioned in our review, the acting, Jessie Buckley, she should be shoe-in for an Oscar nomination. Chloe Zhao for a director nomination. Just everything about this story was really well done. It was delicate. It was beautiful. It wasn't showy in any of the ways that Chloe Zhao's previous movies felt, but it was really showy in terms of like the acting and the story that they told here. Really, really resonated with me. It's just a powerful movie, if you open yourself up to it. So yeah, that's my number six is Hamnet. So those are my bottom five, 10 to 6.
Absolutely, and that's a great one to round off on. Hamnet especially, I would still say it's like, agree to disagree to a certain extent. I think Hamnet was very, I think production wise, that's where it really showed as well. In addition to the acting, because it just all felt so authentic. Like you got thrown into that time period really well. So yeah, great choices, Burn. For my number 10, this is I would say my 10 in general are kind of I feel like kind of a mix of like, super recent just because they're fresh in my mind, but then also sprinkled throughout the year. Just ones that just still stayed in my soft spot. But my number 10 is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein on Netflix, which, it's Frankenstein. There's only so many ways you can tell this story. Kind of like the Wolfman and like Dracula stories. Like we had the Wolfman at the beginning of the year, which sucked. And then we had Nosferatu to finish off 2024, and given that's not necessarily Dracula, it's like the off the Timu version, if you will, but that one killed it. And then there's that Dracula movie coming out later this year in 2026. But Frankenstein was just so well done. I think this is definitely one of Guillermo del Toro's best films. Like he always does great stuff. I can't think of one I dislike or anything like that, but he's definitely another cornerstone of Netflix, in my opinion, with that, and then the Cabinet of Curiosities from a couple years ago. So just great performance all around, makeup, storytelling, just really way to bring that story to new life. No pun intended. Number 9 is one that I didn't know how to feel, but I always love watching this movie. It's The Naked Gun, starring Liam Neeson. Just because that was one of those comedies that I was laughing out loud the entire time. The entire theater was laughing out loud the entire time watching it. I definitely saw it multiple times in theaters as well. So that one I really just enjoyed. It's definitely a bring back. It's a callback to old school movies, almost like Spaceballs, Hot Shots, Airplane, all those classic comedies that you just still love and enjoy, or depending on your taste. My number 8 is Weapons as well by Zach Cregger's, just because rewatching that, and actually my girlfriend who's not really into horror, she watched that and she was like giving me texting reactions like what is this, what am I watching, but she really liked it. And man, I haven't rewatched Barbarian in a minute, but definitely want to after watching Weapons again, because man, what a movie! Had some really scary moments, oddly hilarious moments as well, and just very different storytelling with this what it was reflecting. And I also like the messaging behind it. I'm not going to spoil it. It's in our review, so you can check that out as well. My number 7 is one of the best infected slash zombie movies that's come out in a while, and that's 20 years later. I'm really looking forward to the Bone Temple, and from what Bern and I have talked about, the buzz around that's really good. I can't imagine how much better it's gonna be than this last one. Just because, man, Danny Boyle came back and managed to improve upon his work, and I had Alex Garland to help out with that. So it was just mwah, peak horror, and just great storytelling as well in the middle of the year. And my number 6 is another A24 film. Not like I've said any A24 ones, but like, Bern, you had a couple. And that is Warfare, with a tremendous cast of younger male actors and stuff like that. Can't think of them all off, like Will Poulter, the guy from Stranger Things, Joseph Quinn, I believe.
Joseph Quinn, yeah.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, there's just a lot of dudes in that one, but just it's funny because it's a movie about Navy SEALs, but not that much. Like, it's not like Lone Survivor or American Sniper or anything like that. Didn't glorify the war at all, and really just put I feel like a more realistic point of view to it. So couldn't get that one out of my head. It was just such a great movie. So much happened. I rewatched that recently as well, and just remembered, like, man, what a crazy movie we just watched. Like, this is all from memory and stuff. Just, again, awesome. But that'll round out my bottom 5. So, Bern, why don't you give me and everybody else, all our ranters, your top 5 of the year, the ones that you just had to say, I effing love these movies.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And before I get to those, though, I do definitely want to shout out, The Naked Gun and Warfare. Those both made it. And Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Those were in my honorable mentions. Didn't quite make the top 10, but those were definitely movies I really enjoyed for basically all the reasons you listed. So I 100% agree with their placement in your list. So just wanted to shout that out. But for my number 5 is a movie that you just mentioned here, is 28 years later. Danny Boyle, Alex Garland coming back together almost 28 years later after the original movie, and giving us this sort of legacy sequel that, as you mentioned, feels like it improves upon a lot of the things that we got in the original movie. Again, they didn't work on 28 weeks later at all, so this was more of a sequel to the original 28 Days with Cillian Murphy. Just an oddly beautiful movie is a way I would describe it. The story here about a coming of age story of this kid and dealing with the two different types of parents that he has, amongst this world that's decayed around him. The way it's shot is so interesting. The way it's edited is so kinetic. The music is great and adds such an interesting element to the movie. It just feels like punk rock filmmaking in a way that only Danny Boyle feels like he's doing. I'm sure there are other filmmakers that are just not really off the top of my head, but he's been doing it for a very long time, where it feels like his movies just feel like kind of like almost like an amateur filmmaker just grabbing whatever they can and putting something on the big screen. And it's inspiring to, I think, a lot of upcoming filmmakers to see this more guerrilla type filmmaking, and to produce something like this in 28 years later, I thought was just absolutely fantastic. So I can't speak highly enough. This movie was at my number 2 for a long time, so it was just one that I really, really enjoyed. So yeah, it's at my number 5 right now, but definitely one of my favorites of the year, and one of my favorite horror movies of the last few years, for sure. At number 4 is Ari Aster and A24's Eddington. I know this was a very controversial movie at the time of its release, but for me, this movie just worked from beginning to end. I loved the messaging of the movie. I loved the way it sort of depicted such a time in our lives that I think a lot of people want to forget and still do to this day. I thought it handled that about as well as you can do, and I thought all the characters here each served a purpose in sort of dissecting that time in our lives, and I thought he did a really good job with it. I wasn't too much of a fan of Beau is Afraid, but I really did. I like Eddington, and I was not expecting that going in because again the conflicting word of mouth from different people. But for me, it's at my number 4, and I really did enjoy it. But at my number 3, movie that we just talked about, another A24 movie, surprisingly enough, Marty Supreme. We'll talk about wild rides. This is one of the wildest rides I've been on in a long time, and I think Timothy Chalamet and Josh Safdie just put together this insane story that only Josh Safdie feels like he could tell. About a scumbag who's just barreling over people in his path to success, and just the chaos that ensues around it. Again, if you want to know more about it, check out our review. But man, Marty Supreme was with this one, Uncut Gems and Good Time, we have the Scumbag trilogy all done and complete, and each one of those was well worth a watch. And I think come awards time, I wouldn't be surprised if Marty Supreme walks away with a few of them. So definitely a movie that I really enjoyed. But we're coming down to our last two, and this was such a tough decision. I'm sure the top two are probably your top two as well, just based off of our conversations. But this was a really good year when it comes to these last two movies, and which position is the first or the second. Honestly, it fluctuates. I think both these movies are incredible in their own ways, and they bring something unique to the movie theaters that other movies don't give us. But for me, I had to put them in a position, and at my number 2 is Sinners. Such an incredible movie. I'm so glad that you and I got to see it again when they did the 70mm re-release in IMAX. Just Ryan Coogler, man, one of the most interesting voices in Hollywood right now. The way that he put this movie together, just the musical sections, the action sections, the horror sections. Michael B. Jordan playing two characters, and Jack O'Connell just giving us one of the performances of the year. From beginning to end, an incredible movie experience, and one that I feel like gave me moments in the movie theater that I felt like, wow, like I haven't experienced this before. The time shifting musical section in the middle of the movie was one of the most insane things I've ever seen. The Irish jig that we got. Oh man, just so many good moments, so many good talk around it. And if we're talking about the social media reactions to the movie and all the memes that came out after, such a great moment. If I feel like in movies this year that, yeah, Sinners. If it's either my number 1 or number 2 depending on the day, but for right now I have to put it at number 2. And it's really just 1A, 1B at this point. But if you guys know me and if you guys seen our reviews here, then you'll know that my number 1 is Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. I said it in our review, and I'll say it again. I was sitting in the movie theater and just watching this thinking, man, I love movies, dude. Like, this is such a really cool experience when it comes to the filmmaking, when it comes to the layered script that we got here, the really interesting layered characters that we got that are all very complex. They're all not cookie cutter at all. Sean Penn gives an incredible supporting performance. Benicio del Toro as well. Leonardo DiCaprio. It's all the women in this movie are so incredible and each deserve an award. I feel like it's just from top to bottom, I can't speak highly enough about this movie, and I feel like it's one I'll be thinking of for a very long time. One Battle After Another, again, like I mentioned in our review, might be one of the best movies of the last few decades. I don't know, man. Just that the experience of watching that movie in the theater was just, it felt special. That's all I'll say, and it's just really good. My favorite of 2025 for sure. Like I said, this one in Sinners really battled it out for 1A, 1B. But if you had asked me right now, then yeah, One Battle After Another is my number 1 of 2025.
For sure, my dude. That's I agree with you with that choice as well. I'll get into it in a minute. Did you want to give everybody your honorable mentions, ones that just didn't make the cut but you still cherish, or do you want me to go and we'll do that after?
I mean, sure. Besides the the Warfare and the Naked Gun, Predator Badlands was a ton of fun. The Chainsaw Man animated movie, for anybody who knows about that, that was such an crazy, incredible ride that I highly recommend. One of the best animated movies of the year, but I feel like won't get the attention it deserves just because by nature it's an anime of a movie anime, so it's like those don't really get consideration when it comes to like the Oscar seasons. But I think it would be well worth it because that movie was incredible. Bring Her Back was just a depressing, horrifying time at the movie theaters, to say the least. So yeah, those were some that just they didn't quite make my top 10, but definitely left an impression with me for sure.
For sure, Bro. That's a good choices. I was about to see Chainsaw Man. Not that I wanted to, because I haven't seen the anime, but because I was gonna go see that Shelby Oaks movie just for, for giggles, and then that's a story for another time. But needless to say, I didn't watch Shelby Oaks, nor did I see Chainsaw Man, so forget about it. So my top five again. This is one where I wrestled with it. I didn't know where to start, but for my number five, it had to be Wake Up Dead, man. Every time Knives Out has come out in theaters, it's easily been one of my favorite movies of the year just because it's so snappy and so witty. And the mysteries are actually really good, given I already know, what happens after rewatching them so many times. But it's just always kind of like seeing the clues or trying to pick up, like, okay, was there a tell here? Was there a tell there? Like, and Daniel Craig and oh my God, is it Ryan Johnson? Yeah, they're just such a great combination, man. If Ryan Johnson were to go back to Star Wars, not that I don't think he would, but if he did, Daniel Craig should work with him. I don't know how, but he'll make room for him somewhere. But yeah, love that one. I'm at my number five. Number four had to be Marty Supreme. Like Marty Supreme had to be in my top 10 just because didn't know what to expect with this movie. But wow, when I did watch it, just what a ride. But yeah, just oh my God, Timothy Chalamet, easily one of the most frustrating people ever in that movie, but for the best reasons. He just killed it. And the supporting cast was amazing too. Definitely another, I would almost call it a period piece in a way, kind of like Hamnet or Sinners, where it really throws you back and feels authentic to that time period. But yeah, no, that was just crazy movie, crazy story. Number three was, your number 10 burn, but I always have to save a soft spot for James Gunn's stuff or just in general superhero stuff, and that's Superman. This is definitely one of the more positive films with everything that happened in 2025. It was just nice to see a good, wholehearted hero in the story, and definitely, like Byrne said, made you feel like you're watching a classic hero brought back to, modernized for now, and David Cornsweet killed it. I'm very much looking forward to Supergirl this year, and just what else James Gunn's got for the DCU, man. He's killed it. He's definitely been the medicine we needed. And then number two and one, I had to rewatch these movies. Not that I don't want to watch them, but it was just one of those things I need to really sit down and brace myself. Which one's going to be number one and number two? And honestly, they're kind of tied. But if I had to do a number two and one, number two is going to be One Battle After Another, and then number one is just Sinners, just because, man, One Battle After Another, such a great time at the movie. It's definitely one of those movies that you go to the theater and like, this is what I want to watch. I want to get taken away. I want to get caught up in the story. It was just such a crazy movie to see. It had a bit of everything: comedy, drama, military. I wouldn't say horror. I was actually say more thriller and like, crime kind of stuff. It was just crazy time at the movies. Byrne, I agree with him. The cast killed it, whether it be Sean Penn, Leo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, or Teyonah Taylor was great, and then the newcomer Chase Infinity, I believe is her name. Just can't get enough of that movie. And Sinners, just Ryan Coogler killed it, man. With and I think the reason why I really like that one is because I felt like it was almost like an uphill battle with the marketing. Like, it's such a great movie, but it's like the studio did not want to market it. And I have my suspicions why. I won't get into them now, but this is definitely like if you're going to think about like a vampire movie and stuff like that, but got some action and whatnot. Sinners is the one. I was thinking like if I had to choose between this and From Dusk Till Dawn, easily going to be Sinners going forward, like forever. If I had to drop one, I'm keeping Sinners. But man, just love those movies. Those are my definitely two favorite of last year. And the honorable mentions that I just loved watching, but they just didn't make it for one reason or another. Is Avatar: Fire and Ash. A little bit disappointing, but upon rewatch, I still have appreciation for it. I'm still very much looking forward to 4 and 5, just because I want this story to be completed. I don't want another Alita Battle Angel or something series where it's like, oh yeah, we did one. There's hints for a sequel and we never get it. It's the most annoying thing in movies. At least write them better than how he ended it off. But so I definitely love that one. Bring Her Back, crazy movie, like gut wrenching horror, but in a good way. It's hard to rewatch because it's very heavy stuff on that one. Predator Badlands, one of the funnest and best movies of the year. Definitely helped revitalize the Predator franchise. So looking forward to seeing that and getting it on streaming. The Ballerina, which is another introduction to the John Wick world, starring Ana de Armas, which again, a lot of fun. Definitely could have been better. You definitely see where the reshoots came in, like story wise and whatnot. But again, not a bad John Wick entry whatsoever. Not even a bad action movie. It was solid, but to the John Wick standard, it just fell short a little bit. And of course, my other favorite one that I know is kind of like, it is overrated to a certain extent, but it's just such a fun movie. It was F1 starring Brad Pitt because, I love racing movies are so much fun. There's such great storytelling with the characters. And while it's no Ford versus Ferrari for me, it still did a great job. Brad Pitt's a lot of fun. And, oh my God, I'm blanking on the director's name, but you gotta still, if you love Top Gun Maverick, you'll like this one as well. So that's my honorable mentions.
Joseph Kosinski did a really good job with that movie. Glad that you mentioned that one. That was a fun, slick ride, and again, the memes that came from that movie were a ton of fun. But yeah, that was it, like you said, it was Top Gun in the race weight, and it was just a fun time during the summer in the movies where you want something like that. F1's such a great pool for that.
100% burn. Yeah, so that's our top 10 and honorable mentions for movies. So Burn and I have to show some love for shows as well. Even though we may not have reviewed all of these, they're still in our hearts, and we definitely really liked it. So, Burn, why don't you go ahead with your top 5, and let's have at 'em.
For sure. And my number 5 is you again. Anyone could have guessed it. The Chair Company from HBO. Tim Robinson again. What an insane series where there's an actual interesting mystery at the heart of it, but the characters around it are from an I Think You Should Leave sketch. It's just absolutely ridiculous. He's absolutely ridiculous, but the narrative itself just keeps you interested for some reason. And for people who haven't seen it, definitely check it out on HBO. That show was a ton of fun, and I really enjoyed it. We're getting a second season, so definitely looking forward to that one whenever that comes out. And my number 4 is The Rehearsal, the second season of The Rehearsal. I don't know if a lot of people saw the first season of The Rehearsal from Nathan Fielder. It's another HBO series. For people who know Nathan Fielder, he's a very interesting, very weird comic, and what he does with The Rehearsal season 2 is absolutely ridiculous. One of the most insane things I think I've ever seen in a TV show ever, where he essentially learns how to become a pilot in front of our eyes for reasons that I won't get into, but just watch it and I guarantee it'll be the most insane thing you've probably ever seen in a TV show. It's like, how did he get away with this? I have no idea, but you guys have to check it out for yourselves. The Rehearsal season 2 is definitely my number 4. And number 3 is The Studio. That's Seth Rogen. He's been doing a great job with a lot of the shows that he's worked on, and this show that just basically pokes fun at all the ridiculousness of Hollywood. I'm all for it. all the guest actors that come in here are a ton of fun, and the story at the heart of it is just, it's a fun poke at the studios and how they sort of like balance that sort of artistic integrity and commerce. When do we service one or the other? And that was a lot of fun to see through the eyes of these characters. And again, Seth Rogen does a really good job when it comes to producing TV shows. So the studio was definitely one of them. I mean, it won a lot of awards this year, rightfully so, in my opinion. And number two is The Pit. This is a show that came out early on in the year, but really stuck with me. A really great sort of throwback, it feels like, to the old serialized TV shows from the past, where this show, every episode was an hour in real time. We get to see this sort of this things that are happening at this emergency room in Pittsburgh, and it's just really good character work and really good TV show hospital work, basically, where it's like you like see all the things that they're doing and it feels very intriguing, but you're also interested in the characters and their dynamics. And another show that won a ton of awards, and rightfully so. And this second season is right around the corner, and I'm definitely going to be sat down for that. So The Pit, an incredible first season of a TV show, and one that I'll be watching until the show eventually ends, for sure. But my number one, man, for people who know us and seen our reviews, it couldn't have been anything else. Andor season 2. For my money, the best thing to ever come out of Star Wars, period. I think everything from the characters to the writing, it's everything that I want from this sort of franchise storytelling. Something that's willing to push boundaries, willing to make you think a little bit more, and one that's not really concerned at all about servicing me as a fan. You know, its first thing that it's trying to do is just tell a really, really good story, and I think it succeeded in that. And sort of it being relevant to the current times is not lost upon me, and the way that it touches on these subjects. But for those reasons, it feels even more poignant. Andor season 2, I think, is one of my favorite seasons of television ever. Just a really, really well written series, and one that, as a Star Wars fan, I feel I don't deserve, to be honest. But yeah, it is my number one. Andor season 2, an incredible, incredible series.
Yeah, again, great choices, Bern. You always have classy taste, a very well nuanced flavor. I still need to finish The Chair Company, though. I am ashamed I didn't, because I really like that show. It's just so stupid, but so smart at the same time. Like, Tim Robinson really does know how to blend, like, stupid humor with, like, very high elevated, wisdom and stuff. So it was great. Shows wise, again, it's one. I think I definitely struggle with more shows to pick, like, what I really liked compared to movies. But my number 5 is Welcome to Derry, because that's just fresh in my mind. And I like Stephen King stuff. I'm not in love with it. I don't really care for it. Like, I don't think, like, when I think of horror, I don't think of Stephen King right off the bat. That's definitely more, I would almost consider elevated horror to a certain extent. But Welcome to Derry really expanded upon the story involving Pennywise the Dancing Clown, and just how he terrorizes Derry and stuff like that. And it's like it expanded upon it, but almost still felt faithful to the main story, especially as Andy Muschietti did chapter 1 and chapter 2 from 2017 and 2018, 2019, I forgot. Either way, it was pre-COVID. So I really like that he helmed this, and I think he does a lot better with shows, to be honest, than the movies, because the first one was great. The second one was okay. It has aged better over time, but I didn't expect to like this one that much, so I thought it was really good. My number 4 favorite show is Peacemaker season 2, and one of the reasons why I really like James Gunn's stuff, like what he does with heroes, or like comic book heroes and stuff, is because he helps make you. He really brings these unknown characters or deep dive characters to light and makes you care about them. Like Peacemaker, never heard of him until the Suicide Squad movie from 2021, and man, both seasons have been some of the best superhero television that's come out, and just really diving into this guy's psyche and what makes him tick, and also just kind of what drives him. And then season 2 is no exception. Just so much fun, so funny, and just all around great show. Number 3 was The Pit. That was one of the more impactful shows of last year for all the reasons that Bernie said. It's heart pounding, and by the end of it, like, you're just like, oh my God, that was within an hour. And that kind of goes into the storytelling without spoiling it too much. But man, just such great storytelling. It comes out next week, so I can't wait for that. I'm really excited to see what they do with the second season. Number two is another one Byrne mentioned, which is the studio, because anything involving movies, like I really love it. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, still one of my favorite movies, but just the antics and the situations that it's almost like Curb Your Enthusiasm, but if it happened on a studio lot, just some of the shit that the characters put themselves in, especially Seth Rogen's characters, like why do you do this to yourself? That's so ridiculous. One particular episode had Ron Howard in it, and it was one of the funniest moments for me. So I love that show. It's definitely a great lighthearted show, and there's actually a good debate on how important movies are to society and the impact they make. So I really like that one too. My number one, same as Bernie's. I had to remember it, but man, Andor season 2, some of the best television we will have, and I do agree, one of the, if not the best, one of the best Star Wars properties we've had. In our generation and stuff. Because the originals, they were all about the rebellion and whatnot. But man, this one really expands upon like the deep dive into the rebellion and what it cost certain characters. It's not just all about the heroes like Han Solo and Luke. It's about the people that helped get them to those points and help the rebellion. So again, and I do agree. You put it perfectly where it's not trying to please fans. It's just telling a good story and kind of almost like a warning for society of like, this is what happens when you do or don't do something depending on the situation. So just one of the best shows ever, man. And yeah, that's our top 5 for me and Byrne. Again, I hope we get some good stuff in 2026 with all the movie news going on with like Netflix and Paramount and Warner Brothers and all the projects coming out this year. But time will tell, and just hopefully you all join the ride. We love to keep seeing you guys tune in and keep telling spread the word. If you guys want to nerd out about movies and shows, we'll do our best to keep it up with you guys, just because we love doing that stuff. So as always, until next time, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and we'll catch y'all in 2026.